Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile video, and in this one, we're going to talk about the Summon Reaper as well as the new minion skill for the Guardian, the Absolution. I'm going to start off with Summon Reaper, because there's been a lot of spammage since yesterday about this, and people are wondering what my take on it is. And it's kind of straightforward. We only know, based on PoEDB, I'll leave a link in the descriptions below, of course, that at level 1, the Summon Reaper will be used at level 28. And it's also having a maximum of 1 Summon Reaper. Now, it seems, based on what Chris Wilson was saying, that maximum Summon Reaper shouldn't be able to be changed. Because they talked about having a 1 minion army, right? So basically, the minions attack have a 50% chance to inflict bleeding. It has a 10% more damage with bleeding, and the Reaper causes your non-Reaper minions to deal 20% less damage. So you already weaken the rest of your army by doing this, by using this guy. And he also causes your non-Reaper minions to have 20% less HP. Every now and then, periodically, the Summon Reaper will consume one of your other minions, including Enemy Guardian if you have one summoned, and to temporarily empower and heal itself. And using the ability after you've summoned it will make the Reaper that is summoned cause it to... It will make it dash to the targeted location and perform a powerful attack. So where does the Summon Reaper fit in the current state of the minion meta? And now we don't know what's going to happen in the patch notes, so do keep that in mind as this video is recorded before the patch notes. It's very simple, and no minion in the entire game can ever compete with the clear speed efficiency of ranged minions. This means that I would argue for both Flame Golems, Mage Skeletons, as well as Syndicate Operatives, of course, are vastly superior at clearing. Now, it's pretty funny because I think I was laughing my ass off when Chris Wilson said that, you know, that the clear speed would be gated behind the skill level of the player. Not in those exact words, but that's basically what he said. I found this very amusing. Because having a melee minion and only having 1 melee minion means less area coverage, less clear speed, and all of those things. But obviously, we don't know how the meta is going to look and how the mapping is actually going to feel based on all the changes and all the nerfs that they're basically forcing upon us, which has pros and cons. I'll leave that for another video, though. So how does the Reaper fit into the minion meta? So the way I see it, based off the theoretical information that we have presented to us, is that the Reaper meta seems to be, right now, best oriented around using temporarily summoned minions. Now, there's only 3 proper temporarily summoned minions in the game right now that you would want to use. One is Skeletons, the other is Summon Phantasms from something like a Soul Rest staff, and the third one being Animate Weapon. So, looking at the Summon Reaper, it is a melee minion, which means that since you only have 1 of them, and if you want to main focus scaling the Reaper itself, it means that it will consume one of your temporarily summoned minions every now and then. It makes them do less damage and have less HP. So if we take a look at the first one, say we take a look at SRS, for example. SRS do not aggro enemies. They can still take damage and actually die from collateral splash effects and projectiles, but they don't aggro. This means that they should almost always have SRSs around, allowing the Reaper to consume one consistently, and they can actually be up doing some damage, even if it's less. Animate Weapon is able to aggro and taunt and be hurt. However, it's very smooth and common, very effective to summon these minions, allowing you to use things like maim or taunt on those things to keep them away from the Reaper, as your Reaper's doing the main source of damage. And obviously the Animate Weapon have the pro of being able to use ranged Animate Weapons, which is only for mapping, so not really that good for bossing. However, both of these type of minions, both SRS and the Animate Weapon, have the downside of not being very good when it comes to clearing. The Animate Weapon build can be very good, but requires you to consistently resummon the actual weapons, and ranged weapons being superior for the sake of actually clearing. So because of this, I would say that the best way of looking at the Reaper right now is to use some of the Phantasm support, or the Phantasm through the Soul Rest staff. Because the Phantasm are ranged minions. They can take damage, they can die, sure. They can be kept alive very effectively, even with the less damage and the less HP. They should be very easily be able to be scaled to the level of them clearing maps very effectively. And they do very well versus bosses with the same kind of setup with the links, allowing you to actually focus on that Reaper. This also means that you are able to run 1/6 link for your Soul Rest and 1/6 link for your chest piece for the Reaper. I think that's the best way. The problem with that, obviously, is that you lose out on different things like charge generating specters because the Reaper might consume them. Golems requires resummoning unless you go in with an Elementalist, which is not really favorable because the Elementalist can resummon dead Golems that the Reaper would consume. I don't know, it just feels like a very odd minion. I think it would be cool to use when leveling, but I'm very concerned with how it looks for the end game. Because if you are using a worse version of Soul Rest, the Reaper needs to perform very well versus bossing for it to be better than just a pure Soul Rest build, for example. So that's my take on the Reaper. If you agree, I'd like to hear you guys' opinions on it, because the thing is, the minion is inflicting bleeding, so there could be some pretty cool things you can do with that. I'm not really sure until we see more information about it, but that's my current take on the Reaper. Let me know what you guys feel about the Reaper in the comments below, and I'm going to move over to the Absolution. Absolution is a little bit different. It works similar to Dominating Blow. The way Dominating Blow works is that you need to use a melee weapon and you need to hit something, and you can summon, based on the rarity of the target or targets that you hit, you can summon up to a certain quantity of normal sentinels, magic sentinels, and one rare sentinel, which you can scale with different enchantments and whatnot. So the way it works is that when you hit something, the enemy will receive a debuff. This debuff lasts for about a second, and then there's a chance to summon one if you're hitting a unique enemy to summon a normal sentinel. Now, this is a melee attack. The way Absolution works is pretty much exactly the same way Dominating Blow works, but it is a spell. Now, Dominating Blow do not have any type of conversion rates, whereas the Absolution does have a conversion from their minions to have 50% of their physical damage converted into lightning damage. What's really funny, though, with the Absolution is that it damages enemy in an area, so that you don't really need to have any melee splash, for example, which Dominating Blow would like, or Ancestral Call, and it applies this debuff like I talked about. And if a non-unique enemy dies while affected by the debuff, the enemy corpse will be consumed to a Sentinel of Absolution. However, what that means is that if you have on-death effects, such as the porcupines, the bone husks, any of these spiky boys, they will actually shoot their projectiles, and as the corpse is consumed and not the body of the enemy that is dying is consumed, that means that if you're standing on top of an enemy, there is a small risk that there's a couple milliseconds window where spikes are still being shot out before the corpse is consumed, which will disrupt and remove the actual projectile that is flying towards you. So if you're keeping a little bit distance, this ability will make porcupines and whatnot completely mitigated. The Sentinel of Absolution has a max number of 3 at level 1. That's all we know so far. I believe we saw more in the video. Not sure about that one. We'll see how far we can scale that. There's a 25% chance to summon a Sentinel of Absolution when you're hitting a unique enemy. So again, you put this on an enemy and you're able to be in a position where this is summoning minions on single target boss fights like Cirrus or act bosses, whatever, right? What's really cool about this is the conversion to lightning damage, but again, it's basically just another version of Dominating Blow. What I like to see about the Absolution is the initial kill, right? We have the same problem with Dominating Blow, but Dominating Blow you can go into a pack and then use the Writhing Jar Flask, for example, and summon worms. But Absolution needs to be casted on a target, which means that if you have other minions, which you rather want to do with minions like this, like a Carrion Golem, charge generating specters, and all of these things, using Absolution to proc on worms will be very, very, very hard. So what I think Absolution will do best in is either in a build that utilizes other minions as a backup source of damage, either from the use of Herald of Purity or the use of zombies, or golems for that matter. You could use damaging specters, but I would rather have charged specters personally. So those approaches would probably be the best way to use Absolution, because you're able to smack them into the first pack of enemy in a map as you're casting Absolution to generate the initial kill, allowing you to raise your army. Now, obviously, we don't really have that much information other than that level 1 is used from level 12. I think that it can be pretty cool to use, because the thing is with Absolution is that the ability does damage itself, right? And we'll see how good that scales for the sake of actually using this towards enemies from level 12. I think it could be a real cool ability to level. We'll see. We're definitely going to try it out. But it's a level 12 ability, and it has an effective added damage of 110%. The funny thing with Absolution, though, unlike the Reaper has the physical, minion, and spell tag, which is similar to enemy weapon, whereas Absolution has spell, minion, duration, AoE, physical, and lightning tag. This allows us to use a large variety of weapons, a large variety of modifiers on your amulet, for example, for the sake of endgame scaling, where you level up the ability, because 95% of all minion skills in the game are best scaled from raising the gem's level itself. So there's a couple of very cool ways of approaching this. For example, Absolution has the spell, minion, duration, AoE, fist tag, and lightning. This allows us to use things like the dagger that gives +3 to physical spells. Iron Point is the name of the dagger. Similar to how we can use that for animate weapon with Reaper, for example, which could be really cool as well to utilize. So there's a couple of cool things you can approach with this. How it's going to work, I'm not sure, because it's converting to lightning damage, which is normally not the element you want to convert your minions to. You'd rather have cold damage, but there's a couple of different things you can do with it. Either have Fist to Lightning support, have pure lightning damage Absolution minions. Not really sure which one would be the best till we see more information, but that's the way I see the Absolution skill gem. So that's my take on the new minion skills that I've received for the 19 new skill gems coming out from GHAZZY in the upcoming Expedition Expansion or League 3.15. I will be making more videos with the new abilities, but I just wanted to tackle the minion stuff out of the way first. Let me know in the comments below what you guys feel about these skills. If you guys perceive them or have different takes than what I've been talking about, let me know. I'm hyped as fuck for 3.15 despite all the nerfs. It's going to be interesting to see how people will tackle the flask situation, which is very, very cool. And we'll see if it's going to be good or not. Anyways, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content. Till next time, stay safe and keep rocking.